I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hey guys, welcome back to Dish Upon a Star, where we talk to some of your favorite stars from your favorite shows and movies about their life, the shows we love and just can't stop talking about or rewatching, especially because we've been in quarantine. And you might recognize today's guests from Eva Stevens, Cadet Kelly, so many more Disney things I can't even pronounce, and Kim Possible, one of the most iconic female characters that we've had, that we love so much. Miss Christy, Carlson, Romano, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, no worries. I'm happy to be able to be here via Zoom.
I know this has been a little interesting.
Yeah,
way of doing interviews.
To say the least. These are crazy times right now.
And before we really jump into Christy and the roles that has really shaped an entire generation that a lot of us grew up watching, I do want to touch on what's happening right now in the world, because AfterBuzz TV has been dark for the last 2 weeks in support of Black Lives Matter.
Sure, yeah.
And just, using that time to have these conversations. And I feel like that for the first time, this has impacted everybody, no matter in what way or who you are. And what are your thoughts on what's going on in the world?
I see it obviously through the eyes of whatever I'm able to see it through, a person with privilege, obviously, and a mom. So I wasn't able to go to protests. I wasn't able to partake in ways that I would have maybe done had I not had 2 kids, and there wasn't a pandemic happening and all of these things. I think that the most important thing that you can do right now is not stand in the way of progress. I think being a good person is vital. Be kind. I think that's my number one thing that I could share with everyone, is just be kind. So that's kind of where I stand with it. I mean, as a mom, that's what I'm teaching my kids, and I really hope that others can do the same.
And what types of conversation have you been having in your own house or with your friend group?
Well, I've been having conversations. I've tried also to not have conversations with people so that it feels as though I'm performing in some way. Like I'm very grateful to, since quarantine started, we have a teacher for the girls who used to work with them in a daycare. And now I asked if she could help me out so that I could get work done throughout the week. She and her family are from Senegal. And as much as I would be like, hey, let me bend your ear about all these things, I'm more just saying to her, like, hey, I'm here. If you need anything, please just let me know. I'm not gonna, I'm not closed, but I'm also not trying to make her feel like she has to speak about anything in particular. We're just 2 people who care about my kids, and we're just loving each other through this, honestly. Like, she's a light of my life. So, and obviously I would say her name, but I feel like it's probably better just not to say her name and all that stuff. So I've also started thinking about the type of books that we have. So I started purchasing some books that are on like empathy and diversity, and just kind of taking inventory of what I'm capable of doing. I mean, it's a cumulative thing. And I also think that this time, it's interesting because people have really had no choice but to pause and think about what their stance on things is. And so it is a really interesting time for people.
And how do you think we can move forward in this time?
I mean, look, I have kids, so I hope that things can be resolved. I want the future to be better for them. I want there to be no fear in any mother's heart for any reason that their child might not make it through the day. And even if they're older, it's just you see the world very differently once you become a mom. So it's a hard time. It is.
Now that we talked about what's going on in the world, we're going to talk about Christy. Like, you started
Okay.
acting at a very young age, and what made you want to perform and seek it out as a career?
Well, I started working at 6.5, so I can't say that I sought it out. What it was my mom and me were a little bit of a team with my older siblings had been singing and dancing for years as sort of like a sport. And I was the little one who seemed to really want to sing. They didn't really sing as much as they did like sports and dancing and all that. So we were, doing it on a competitive dance level. And then like I went to New York because I'm from the East Coast, and New York was like the regional competition, and I got scouted by an agent there. And so I started doing commercials and then quickly got into theater. So theater was really my first foray into being a professional actress at a young age, a child actor, and then eventually made my way to LA for the audition for Even Stevens. And then kind of the rest is history with how I evolved with working with Disney.
Definitely. And in 3 short days, it marks the 20th anniversary since Even Stevens first aired.
Yeah, that's
How does that
wild
make you
to me.
feel?
Yeah, it's wild to me that it's been 20 years and people are still talking about how much they love the show. It still feels very fresh in people's minds, and I think now more than ever, nostalgia is like comfort food for people, and it's something that gives people solace, and reminds them of a time in their lives that they shared something in their homes with their family, or maybe if they watched it as a way to release or get away from bullying at school or something. Like, there's so many good stories that I've heard when I've met fans at, like, say, Comic Cons or whatever, and they've just been so positive. The feedback has been so great. Even Stevens in particular, it seems like it's got quite a cult following.
It was one of the most funniest shows for that era. I think one of the shows before, obviously, That's So Raven and The Proud Family and Lizzie McGuire, it really started its own legacy in that way. What was your favorite thing about playing Ren Stevens?
I think that Ren had a really great mix of being just a regular teenage girl going through the insecure moments and second guessing herself while also still achieving things. So like, she showed girls that it was cool to be smart, but that don't expect your life to be uncomplicated just because you're this, like, one-dimensional stereotype of a girl. So she was just very multifaceted, and I played with that for those 3 seasons because I was living it. Like, as I was growing up, I was a little older than the character, but I was still insecure and I was coming of age and all that. So I think it definitely struck a personal chord.
Now, the famous influenza musical episode, it's also still one of the most talked about episodes in the series because it was the first time we actually got to see, like, hear you sing, and also some of the other cast members who also had Broadway backgrounds in and of themselves. And it also shaped and changed the future of Disney Channel to come.
Definitely.
So how does that feel? You knew you made a legacy even
Well,
after your Disney days were done.
yeah, for sure. I mean, the legacy wasn't really acknowledged because of High School Musical. We were really the first musical episode on Disney Channel. So anything musical kind of started from the fact that that episode did well. So I like to think that while they were probably going to try something out, the fact that we had that was a really successful episode for us, made Disney kind of think outside the box a little easier. So, and I get it. Like, they like to keep the content very specific so that they know that it will be successful, or that kids are going to like it. And kids, you can only do so many different types of things for kids. And Disney's been really great, like, at doing all sorts of different things, whether it's like Descendants or Teen Beach, or like just all these cool things that they've done over the years. And I'd like to think that we helped start the legacy for the new kind of content that they were making.
Definitely. And because, like you said, nostalgia is a big thing, if it was possible for Ren Stevens to come back for even an Even Stevens spinoff, would you be open to doing it?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
And where do you see Ren now? Like, what is your vision of where Ren is in her life at this moment?
Ren's pretty awesome. So, I mean, you could take it a lot of different places. Mostly, I think she's still in government, though, which would be kind of really interesting if you were to take it just from today's political climate. But I think for the sake of it, she's in local politics, trying to do big things for her community, and she has children. And, I think I could definitely relate to her still if, Disney took it upon themselves to want to do something. I don't know if that's in the cards. I think that, between Disney Plus and maybe even the Lizzie McGuire reboot not working out, I'm not sure if even Stevens makes sense for Disney to reboot, unfortunately.
Guess time will tell. We'll find out. Fans will outcry for you. And obviously, you also voice one of the most iconic characters on Disney Channel, Miss Kim Possible. What was your first thought when you heard about this role?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where I saw the picture of her and I said, wow, this is going to be a big deal. Because I know that Walt Disney Studios was involved, and it was like the first collaboration that the studio had with the TV, with TV. So I was like, this is unique, this is different. And I grew up with DuckTales and a lot of those Disney things and Goof Troop and all those things. So I was like, wow, this is like that. This isn't just some, second, like, this is different. This is like Disney. She's going to be around for a long time. I think I felt a little like nervous that I wasn't like imposter syndrome. Like even though I was that young, I knew that there was all these talented people around me. So I just was very grateful. And I was like, well, I'm going to learn what I can about being a voice actor. And I think I learned quite a lot over the years. I ended up doing, I got an Emmy nomination for playing Kim Possible. And then I got, all sorts of different things from that. I've been on Family Guy. I've been on tons of things. I do a lot of like books on tape. So certainly Kim wasn't the only, voice acting that I did. It's definitely been a part of my heart and soul going forward. It's like it's a beautiful art form to be able to say like, hey, I can actually be considered a voice actor, much less a successful voice actor. So I'm pretty grateful for that.
And we have the Kim Possible live action, which you also cameoed in as Miss Poppy Blue. What was that like for you, in a way, almost passing the baton to Sadie?
Yeah, no, Sadie Stanley's a sweetheart. She's a great actress, and she's now she's on the Goldbergs with Sean Gimbroni, who was Ron. So they're, KP and Ron again. And I think they're even love interests in there. And so I had a lot of fun getting to know the cast and the crew and the directors. And, they had asked me to be a part of it early on, and they didn't know what kind of part I was going to get. So when they finally showed me the part, I was excited because it was a throwback to when Brittina picks Kim Possible up in one of her first episodes. If you guys want to go check that out on Disney Plus. And I was like, oh my gosh, I remember this so clearly in my mind. It might've been our first episode. So that we recorded, and then the way you see them listed is like out of sync. So I just was like, this seems like a full circle moment.
And it's awesome. Speaking of full circle moments, I as any fan of Kim Possible, we all want to know. The last time we saw Kim Possible, she was graduating high school and she was still with Ron. Now, where do you think Kim is? And is she and Ron still together?
Yeah, me and Will Friedle will go on Comic-Con circuits and talk about this on panels. We think that they have twins because it runs in the family with her having her brothers. And we think that they are still together and happy and love, and like they are saving the world, maybe as a family, something like that. I think the twins are really smart. Either there's one girl, one boy, or something like that. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, we pretty much think that they're still kicking butt in the KP world.
I love that. A family operation, a family that kicks butts together, stays together.
Yeah, they even actually did that in the live action too, where it was like her mother, and her grandma. And yeah, I like that.
And I think that was a very amazing part, and just in the scene in general for the live action, seeing 3 generations of possible women fighting together because the future is female, if no one knows. It was just an amazing moment.
I like that. I do like that. Yep. Yeah, no, Kim definitely taught me how to be feminist. Like she definitely, you can't like play Kim Possible and represent her and have that much love for her and then not let it rub off on you over the years. You know, I'm actually really lucky to have played Ren Stevens and her and even Captain Stone, you know, from Cadet Kelly. I even played Belle on Broadway. So I've just been really blessed with my work for Disney to be portraying women in a very positive light.
What has been the biggest lesson for you overall of just playing these characters, and what have they taught you about yourself that you might have not known otherwise?
I think these characters have all taught me resilience. They've taught me how to get back up and keep fighting. You know, that you can love to wear a pretty princess gown or be a girl and have a crush on someone, and you can be funny and geeky and insecure, but you can also kick butt. And I think each of the characters I've portrayed through Disney has set their idea of femininity up that way. So yeah, I have no problems with that.
And let's get into Christy's Kitchen throwback, which is like so much fun to watch in general. But what inspired you to do this for your YouTube channel?
I mean, it's like I said before with nostalgia being comfort food. It's like literally that. We are making comfort food with celebrity guests, and we're making dishes inspired by their popular shows. And we talk about what it was like to be on their shows. And it's a little uncomplicated, but you know, it's something that no one has thought to do. So when I said to myself, well, this is something that people would like to see, let me try to do something on YouTube. It's been very successful. As of right now, we're experimenting with potentially just doing some react videos, because I've been doing react videos as well on my YouTube about every single episode of everything. So you guys can see that, but it's just quarantine. So I can't really have guests over right yet. I can probably do it. I'll probably do it again in the next few months, but like I have to wait to see what's on the other end of everything.
Definitely. Who has been your favorite guest so far that you've had in your kitchen?
Goodness, all of my guests are really unique and interesting, and I've known them from various points in my life in various different ways. I can't say that I have a favorite guest, honestly, because they're just all so cool. And I'm so appreciative of them for coming on the show. Like, I don't live in Hollywood. I live in Orange County. So for them to actually take the time to come here, it means a great deal for me, especially after not seeing me for decades. You know, like we haven't touched base. So I would say though that my favorite dish doesn't even belong to me or my show. It belongs to Ty Hodges, who played Larry Beale on Even Stevens, throwback to ES. And it's his Rasta pasta that his family made. I'm not kidding you. This is my favorite dish by far. It's got jerk seasoning and chicken and Alfredo. I mean, it's just so good. I highly suggest making that. That's my favorite dish for sure.
It sounds awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's super good.
How many times did you, for that particular dish, how many times did you say, oh, I'm going to take a bite, but we're going to have to do multiple takes?
Yes.
Just so you can keep eating.
The funny thing is in that episode, I cut my finger like really badly. Like I was maybe going to have to go to the emergency room when we were cutting. So I was like, well, this is going to be interesting with people watching this video. But I learned a very valuable lesson there about cutting. So if you watch that video, if you watch that video, I think I'm trying to think if I still have a scar. No, I guess it healed by now, but it's pretty freaky. Like I almost cut my fingertip off in that episode.
Just PSA, be very mindful with knives in the kitchen.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
And obviously in a few months when we figure out where we are, who would be your dream guest to have that you haven't had yet?
Honestly, I'm trying for Jaleel White. He's like my number one that I'm really trying to lock down. I know that everybody wants to see the gentleman that played Beans on Even Stevens. His name is Stephen Anthony Lawrence. So I'm trying to get him, and maybe we'll make some beans together. You know, obviously people are always like Shia, Hilary Duff, Raven, like those people would be great. But there's a lot of other people out there in the world that, you know, have really great stories to talk about that I know that I've had interactions with. And that's what makes CKT so special, is that, you know, we have so many different people coming on the show. And so I really do hope that everyone still subscribes and checks it out and watch what you can already if you haven't seen it, and, you know, just enjoy the content.
Especially the 90s snack video is really awesome, guys. If you have not seen it.
Yeah.
I love Dunkaroos, so like you just really made me really wish for some Dunkaroos. Like I need to go to Canada to get them because that's the only way you can get Dunkaroos now. which is just a shame. That is really mean. They just treat us like this. It's okay though. If you could give advice to 15-year-old Christy with what you know now, what would you say to her?
Ooh, stay strong. I would say like what I've learned from portraying these characters and living in their shadows, I guess you could say, is to stay strong and know that it's going to be okay. Like I keep reminding myself during quarantine that this too shall pass. I think that, having littles and homeschooling, I'm not homeschooling, but there's people out there that do, or, just missing their friends, kids missing their way of life, and the complications that come from that, unemployment, all of these things. We just have to bond together and know that this too shall pass, and we should all just stay strong.
I love that. And we're gonna get into some rapid fire.
Okay, let's do it.
Things.
Okay, let's do it. Ready.
Okay. So, your favorite Ren Stevens quote?
Ooh. We went to the moon in 1969.
I mean, that's how we all learned what year we went to the moon. It is something we never forget.
It's got to be my most memorable one, right?
Your favorite Broadway show?
Oh, that's a hard one. Oh gosh, Rent.
Oh yeah, that is always my number one. I totally agree with that one. Your favorite thing about being a mom?
My kids. That's it. Just my kids. They're reward in itself.
Your favorite role you played so far?
Belle and Kim. It's a tie. Belle
I
and
can
Kim.
see that.
Yeah.
And your favorite fan experience?
Hard. That's hard. I really love all my fans, and a lot of times I'll meet them and it'll be like at a Comic-Con, and so there'll be fast interchanges. My goodness. It's really hard to say. I can't pick. I love them all. I love them all.
You mentioned Belle, just in case anybody who doesn't know, she played Belle on Broadway and also reprised it again in Atlanta. But what was that like for you, going back to, in a way, your roots in theater and playing such an iconic Disney character?
It was great.
Disney princess.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. I was very committed to making sure that I portrayed her the best possible way. So like my energy level was very important, and I wouldn't go out to see people. I was basically quarantined, and I would report to the theater, and I would just put 100% effort in every single time.
Do you think because you were a theater kid, it really helped you when you did move to doing TV and movies?
Yeah, I think so, for sure.
And what do you like the most about theater?
Oh, my kids might actually be running in here.
It's okay. They can join the conversation.
They're like, it's been time. Where are you? I don't know. I just think the gratification that you get from an audience. I'm on the phone. I'm on the phone. Yeah. I gotta go. I'm on the phone.
Hi.
So funny. That's actually my nephew. Bye. Yeah. So gratification from the audience is definitely what makes theater so great, is that you don't have the same, even though you're doing the same thing, and sometimes that can get a little challenging, you're never going to have the same audience.
Would you ever like to go back to do a couple more Broadway plays or musicals? Yeah,
no, for sure. I would love to create a character now. I think I've played a lot of characters, and I think there's always so many characters that would be wonderful to play, but I would set my sights on doing something new.
Well, especially because you are a director as well, for those who don't know, what has been the most, I don't say challenging, but interesting thing you've learned from directing, because you're also coming from the side of being the actor. Yeah. So how has that been for you? Well,
they usually say that the people who have acted are better at directing the actors directly. It's because you've been an actor. I'm actually more interested in the technical aspects of it, the designing of the shots and making it a cohesive film, and making it look great. And I let the actors kind of do what they're going to do, which is more important in terms of watching them rehearse and casting them properly, honestly. I mean, there's so many talented people out there. And then having your take on what the script is about and just seeing the movie in your mind before you actually start to shoot it. So I'm learning. I did my first feature and I thought it was a success. It was distributed through Lionsgate and it was a Christmas movie. And I think it was a lot of fun. And I'm looking to do another one in the fall. So, fingers crossed, everything keeps moving forward. And yeah.
Well, guys, if you want to check out the Christmas movie, it is on Netflix. I mean, it is on Hulu.
Right, because who doesn't want to celebrate Christmas right now? Right now, I just wish it was Christmas. Can we just move to Christmas?
If we could just jump forward, I think that's also why Hallmark has been so good about the whole Christmas in July. Their rates skyrocket during that time because people miss Christmas even halfway through it.
Hold on,
No, you're good.
I guess I have to go. Is there any more rapid fire questions?
What has quarantine taught you about yourself that you didn't know before?
That I really love caffeine.
You need it.
That caffeine is the most necessary thing in the world. That is what quarantine has taught me.
And right before
I also like TikTok. And you guys
oh my gosh, your TikTok is, oh my gosh, if you do not follow her TikTok, it is awesome. I think my favorite was the Kim Possible versus coronavirus. That was literally everything.
That was my first one, I think, actually. Thank you. Yeah, that was really fun. And then they've just been I've been having more and more fun with them. And I recently just did one. You can go on my TikTok. As of yesterday, I had one with Sabrina Bryan, who's of Cheetah Girls.
Yeah, and she's about to be a mommy. And it's so cute.
It is.
Right before we go out of here, any advice for those who are watching who do want to be in the entertainment industry?
I would say just go slow. Don't think that things are going to happen overnight because they don't. And if it's right, then they don't happen overnight. But also it's weird because you don't just want to go so slow that you're just talking about it. I think you can also be about it with a camera and creating your own stories and creating your own content. You can do content online and you can make there's people like Matt Cutshall and Ariel, and there's other people that do really funny bits online, and you can do stuff like that. You can do things on your own, but if you're also trying to do things in the industry itself, just don't expect it to come overnight. That's all I can say.
Respect the journey.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for joining us, guys. If you have not been rewatching Even Stevens or Cadet Kelly or Kim Possible, please get the Disney Plus app because it is all on there. And you can check out our Christmas movie on Hulu if you also have that, if you have the whole bundle plan. So, Miss Christy, do you want to tell the people where they can find you on all social media platforms if they don't already know where to find you?
Yes, I'm on TikTok. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram.
And
come find me. I'm on YouTube.
And she's on YouTube. Don't forget, you gotta get the channel, subscribe, click
YouTube.
Let's hit it. And you guys can find me at Real Chae Jones on Twitter and Instagram. You can also follow the Dish Upon a Star Instagram account at Dish Upon a Star _. There's a lot of words. How about that? Thank you guys so much for joining us. And until next time, we'll see you soon.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.